Welcome back to the Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures, folks, and I'm your host, Hiker Lou. This is Lone Wolf Scouting Fatwood Haunted Adventures, episode 49. And today in this episode, what I'd like to do is kind of follow the paths and look down on the ground to see if we could find dead pieces of knots or pieces of fatwood. This is a fatwood that were laying there for ages, folks. Just like in my previous video, folks, I found a piece of fatwood on a path as I was coming out and found it and couldn't believe, to my amazement, it was pure. I don't know if I want to name this one, Scouting for Buried Fatwood Gold Nuggets. Some path we're going to walk along this path out here in the woods, and I'm going to look down to the ground to see if I can find any type of fatwood knots or pieces of existing fatwood that died a long time ago, just laying there rotting. And you got to understand tree identification. Like I said in my previous videos, you have to know what it looks like at different stages of it rotting. So you can come across something that I call it the skeleton, would not have. The skeleton may be the core of the tree that once lived, with the knots are coming out of it. So that's what we have to look for, signs like that, looking for a dead tree that's really thin, which is the core, that didn't rot because of the concentrations of pine root. This is going to be another educational hiking fatwood experience, folks. I guarantee you're going to learn something from this. Stay there. I've been hiking a little bit, and look what I came across. This is a huge dead pine tree, and that is the bottom of the tree, and I believe these are parts of the roots. And I'm going to cut into it, but first I want to go hiking on the trail to see if I could pick up any pieces of fatwood that are just laying on the trail that died a long time ago. Now we're just going to start walking along the trail here. And you're going to look, I'm going to teach you how the art of looking for pieces of fatwood. You don't have to look for a tall tree, standing up, laying down, dead or alive. It doesn't matter. What you're looking for are pieces that you can recognize to be fatwood. Like I said, tree identification. They come in many different stages. Here's an example right here. This is oak. I can see it just by looking at it. I know that's an oak tree. All of this just laying there. Died a long time ago. Here's the other part of it. And here's the other part right there. That's what this is what fell off. All of that just rotted. And you can see by that green moss right there, that is oak bark. So I know that's not what I'm looking for. So we're just going to keep walking down the trail here until we could probably come across maybe some fatwood knots like I did in my previous video when I was on my way out. And I found that fatwood knot laying there. And what do we got here? Okay, here's a perfect example, folks, right here. Look at this. Look at that, folks. That is a fatwood knot. I can tell, tree identification, the knot with the lines in it, you can see that this is definitely a knot, and I believe that is from the pine tree. And here's another one here. Talking about luck, so once you come out here, huh? Look at this. This is another example right here. That is a fatwood knot, definitely. And this is what's left of it. Like I said, where the tree is, what happened to the rest of the tree, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. So right now, right off the top, beginning of this video, this is what I got. And here we got another piece right here of small knots, and that's the core. This is the core right here. Right here is the core of the that once had a trunk around it that rotted because it didn't have any type of resin to preserve it. But these little knots are preserved because of the resin that's in them coming from the core. I'm not here to harvest all these knots and take them home with me, but just to give you an idea. And definitely this, you can look at it, tree identification. This is a knot. This is a knot. And this part right here is part of the branch that comes out of the knot And this part of the knot here went into the tree, which is a core like this. As far as the tree, I couldn't tell you what happened to the rest of the tree. But here we got 3 knots so far. Didn't take long on the trail, finding a whole bunch of knots just laying there. So you don't have to look for a tall tree or dead tree, lying tree. You don't have to look for any of that. You could find pieces like this on the forest floor like I just did. I'm going to look for one more and see if there's any more out here, which I am coming across right here. This is another one. This is another knot. This is part of this. Okay folks, I'm on my way out to a location where I could set up and show you and demonstrate to you the power. Okay, welcome back. Now, on my way out of the woods, finding a place that I could set up and give you that demonstration and explain and show you how to clean these knots up and show you the potency of the resin that's inside of them. Look what I came across. This is one old tree, and these are all the little knots. And here I chopped into this one right here. Look at that. Look at that. That is the most incredible thing. I was not even looking for this here. I wasn't looking for this, and I found this whole thing. Look at the size of these knots down here that I'm pointing to with the knife. Look at the size of that. Look at that. Just chopping into it. Look at that. Wow. Just take a look at that, folks. Now, this is going to be another video. I have knots that I want to demonstrate to you and show you the power to burn, and I'm going to dissect them. I'm going to clean them up to show you what's inside of them. And that was the point of making this video, to show you how you could find knots, not just looking for trees lying there, not just looking for laying trees, dead trees, standing trees, but knots, pieces, remnants of a tree that once lived a long time ago, that tells you a story. Like I said, tree identification. You have to know the different stages, and every time you go out Scouting Fatwood, there's a different scenario. It's variables that play every time you go out there. It's never the same. It always changes. So these are different variables and that you have to learn. You have to learn the different stages of a tree decomposing out there, what it looks like. But you always got to test it. Like I just tested this here. I just tested that, and you can see the color. And I smelled it. That is definitely Fatwood. Very old one. It has a story to tell of its own, with these knots right here that I just cut into also. You can see that. This is an incredible find. I have not walked down this part of the woods, folks, and I had no idea I was going to run into this. As soon as I saw it, I just looked at it. It told me a story, and I said the only way I could confirm that this is a dead pine tree is by cutting into it, which I did with my knife. And look, behold, that's what we got. I am so stoked about this. This is going to be my next video when I come out here. I'll come straight to this location. I'm going to tag this part of the trail, and I'm coming back here to make this video and extract that piece of Fatwood. Stay with me, folks. It only gets better, more interesting as we go along. Stay there. Okay, folks, here we are. We're back, and look at this. This is another section of that same tree that rotted off, but that you can see from here. And look what I found here. What I found against this huge, beautiful pine tree. Another part of it right there with knots sticking out of it. All over here. Now this is a gold mine I wasn't looking for. Look at this here. Let me get around here to show it to you. And look at that. Look at these knots coming out of it. All of this. That's the pine wood bark right there. Get nice and close. That's what aged bark looks like on a pine tree when it's all decomposed. And it has a story to tell. And what's left are the knots and some parts of the branches. And this, my friend, is the core, the lifeblood, the lifeline of the tree, that when it once lived, all the nutrients and resin traveled to the rest of the tree. Okay, so behind me, look at this. This is like a little graveyard. Look at that. All of this is fatwood, and what's left is the core and the knots. Look at the size of this piece right here, buried. I'm gonna pull it up a little bit. Look at that knot. That is an amazing thing to look at. All of this. This is a small little graveyard that I came across that I didn't see before. And I'm coming back here to make my next video, episode 50. This is episode 49, part 1. And I will be back. So stay with me, folks. Like I said, it just gets interesting as we go along. And not to mention that magical encounter that I had with that baby deer once again for the 3rd time. I believe the karma is there, the energy is good, and I believe that little baby deer is going to present itself to me on the other side of the woods when I get there. Stay with me. It only gets better as we go along on this journey, Scouting Fatwood.